Shayna, what's your take on the president's use of this term in the Oval Office?
Okay, everybody calm down. There's only so much outrage we can take. We know this man already said he grabs women by their pussies. So, excuse my French, he said that. I'm going to say it too. So this word is not so crazy, especially when, like, LBJ had the dirtiest mouth in the world and was a pretty good politician. I'm not saying Trump is, but I'm saying politicians who use dirty words, okay.
I mean, he uses vulgarities, and I think, to your point, we do start to diminish the significance of real things that maybe people ought to be outraged that affect everyone's daily lives, as opposed to language that a leader uses in what is supposed to be a private, off-camera meeting. So
yeah, like, there's so many more important things to get outraged about if that's what you want to do, and there are serious things like immigration laws that are affecting El Salvadorians, but the fact that he used a vulgar word about it, okay.
Another one of these issues is FISA, and to discuss that as well, let's bring in retired FBI Special Agent Bobby Chacon. Bobby, first to you, your reaction to the president using the vulgar term when talking about certain countries where immigrants are trying to come from?
Well, I think the bigger impact is going to be, in a way, he's our chief diplomatic officer overseas as well, and at some point he's going to be sitting across the table and having discussions with the leaders of those countries that he just described like that. And so I think that's the biggest impact. I mean, there's no need for us to get so outraged. Believe me, the people from those countries, and in fact those leaders from those countries, are certainly going to be outraged. And at some point, Mr. Trump is going to be sitting across from those people, or maybe visiting those countries even on a diplomatic mission. It also makes our diplomats in those countries, that much harder to deal with. Our diplomats, our ambassadors in those countries have to deal with those countries, and now it makes their job infinitely harder. And that's the real impact.
That's a fair point. I don't deny you that at all. Again, I'm just saying, on the level of outrage, this isn't the worst thing he's done. But I do want to go to FISA for a second. The fact that it passed today, there were Republicans that were against it because it's really an overreach. It also sweeps up Americans' phone conversations, text messages, emails. What's your take on it?
Well, having been an operator in that world, I actually support the bill because I knew how important it was for us to do our job. I also understand civil libertarians, and there are both, Democrats and Republicans who are opposed the overreach that could take place with a bill like this. So I understand that, and like you said, this is a bipartisan opposition. There's bipartisan support and there's bipartisan opposition on this bill. It was really bizarre, and I think somewhat concerning, the first tweet that came out this morning, although, in reading that tweet, the president doesn't come out against FISA. He calls it controversial, and he alleges that it might have been abused in the case against maybe some people in his campaign. So while there was no overt, direct withdrawal of support or come out against FISA in that first tweet, it certainly made it much harder for people like Paul Ryan to rally support for it when all of a sudden the president seems to be calling it controversial, which kind of gives fodder to the opposition. And so, this was a very bizarre tweet. I personally think that the president is obsessed with getting the words phony dossier into every tweet. And I think he saw this as an opportunity to throw in something about a phony dossier, and he used the FISA vote, to kind of really torture that into it. So I think it was more about him getting the chance to use again the term phony dossier, and he just happened to wake up and watch Fox News, and they were talking about the FISA vote, and he just blurted that out.
All right, retired FBI Special Agent Bobby Chacon, thank you so much for your opinions. All right,
Thanks.
still to come.